I heard the scream before I saw her, and when I turned around, I swear the ground shook. There she was, Connie Blanchard, self-proclaimed queen of the Willow Creek Estates HOA, sprinting across my pasture like her yoga instructor had just turned into a grizzly bear. Her arms flailed, her designer sun hat flew off into the breeze, and that clipboard she always carried like a badge of honor snapped clean in two as she tripped over a clump of alfalfa. Behind her, snorting like a freight train and charging full steam, was my bull too, 100 pounds of pure Angus named Buckshot. Now, Buckshot ain't your average bull. He was bottle-fed in my kitchen during a freak blizzard back in 17, slept curled up next to the wood stove like a puppy, and grew up thinking he was part dog, part tractor. He's sweet as pie to my kids, but territorial as hell when it comes to strangers, especially those reeking of lavender perfume and entitled HOA nonsense. I stood on the porch, coffee mug in hand, watching what might have been the most satisfying chase I'd ever seen. Connie tore across my land like she was in a courtroom drama, only to slam face first into a patch of nettles near the creek. I didn't laugh out loud, but Miguel, my ranch hand, nearly fell off the roof he was patching. And it all started the morning before. Connie had shown up unannounced, as usual, standing at my gate with that tight-lipped smile that always meant trouble. She was recently elected HOA president after running unopposed, mind you, and she wielded that power like a sledgehammer wrapped in pink ribbon. She held up her little binder of grievances like it was the Constitution and told me the HOA had voted to create a new walking trail, one that just happened to cut straight through the middle of my family's land. I told her, plain as day, that our ranch wasn't part of the HOA. It never had been. The property had been in my family since the 1800s, back when folks settled land with sweat, not surveys. Connie didn't care. Said I was standing in the way of community wellness and aesthetic cohesion. I told her cutting fences and strutting around where you don't belong isn't cohesion, it's trespassing. Her smile cracked, but she left without another word. I figured that was the end of it. Most HOA types bark more than they bite. But not Connie. Connie wanted control. So when my security camera buzzed at 5:30 a.m. the next morning, and I saw her in a hot pink tracksuit, bolt cutters in hand, snipping my southern fence line and laughing to herself, I knew she was about to get herself in real trouble. She didn't know that Buckshot had been moved to that pasture just the night before. By the time I jumped in my truck and made it out there, it was already too late. The fence was wide open, her footprints leading deep into the field. And that's when the screaming started, echoing off the hills, high and panicked. Buckshot came thundering behind her, his ears flat, eyes locked, like he was personally offended she was alive. She bolted over the ridge, slipped, and landed in that patch of nettles while her phone went skidding off into a cow patty. I made sure she wasn't hurt too bad before I called the sheriff. Not to press charges yet, but just to get it on record. Sheriff Bowden's been a family friend for years, and when he saw the footage, he laughed so hard he nearly choked on his dip. Connie demanded we arrest the bull. Sheriff Bowden looked her dead in the eye and said, "Ma'am, Buckshot has more legal right to that pasture than you do." That should have been the end of it, but this was Connie. 2 days later, she was back, this time with 2 HOA board members and a man in khakis holding a clipboard. She limped out of the SUV, now sporting an ankle brace and a neck pillow, looking like she was auditioning for a daytime court show. She said they were there to assess the damages to HOA morale and to determine restitution. I pointed to the no trespassing sign and told her the only thing she'd be assessing was her own bad decisions. Miguel, bless him, asked if they needed directions back to the land they actually owned. She filmed the entire encounter, claiming I was harboring aggressive livestock and threatening community safety. That's when Buckshot, standing behind the fence, let out a snort and relieved himself squarely in the shot. The internet ate it up. We posted the video, and it went viral overnight. Folks were calling him the bovine sheriff and the hoof of justice. That's when Connie got desperate. She started mailing glossy pamphlets door to door titled, "A Community Under Siege." She painted me as a violent isolationist and claimed Buckshot was a public menace. One of her pamphlets even showed a photoshopped picture of him with glowing red eyes. The mayor called and asked if I was launching a militia. I told him only if grass-fed manure counted as ammunition. But Connie wasn't done. One night around midnight, the sensors went off again. This time, it wasn't Connie, it was a crew of hired workers, digging near the southern fence line, trying to relocate it inward. Buckshot noticed before I did. By the time I pulled up the camera, it was already a stampede. He barreled down that pasture like a freight train. The workers scattered. One dropped a power auger. Another tried to dive under the fence and got stuck. We uploaded the footage, titled it Buckshot's Revenge, Part 2. It went even more viral. News stations picked it up. A ranch supply company sent us a cowboy hat for Buckshot. Miguel made shirts that read, "Respect the fence or meet the hoof." Then came the final straw. A formal complaint from Connie and her HOA citing me for 7 infractions, including unesthetic livestock presence and animal intimidation visible from public walking paths. Denise, my lawyer, nearly fell out of her chair laughing. We counter-sued trespassing, property damage, defamation. When the court date came, Connie arrived in full costume brace, neck pillow, even sunglasses indoors. The judge wasn't impressed. Denise presented the footage, land deeds, and every outrageous HOA document Connie ever filed. The judge ruled in our favor, ordered Connie to pay damages, replace the fence, and stay 300 feet away from my property. She appealed. Of course she did. But even the HOA board had turned against her by then. They issued a statement denouncing her actions and removed her from the presidency. Connie resigned 2 days later, citing health reasons. To celebrate, we threw a community picnic right there at the fence line. Folks brought coolers, lawn chairs, even a bouncy house. Buckshot got his own pen decorated with red, white, and blue streamers. Sheriff Bowden showed up with a plaque that said, "To Buckshot, Defender of the Range." Sometimes justice doesn't come with gavels or badges. Sometimes it's 4 hooves, a nose ring, and the world's best timing. I don't know if Connie's done for good, but I know this. Next time someone thinks about cutting my fence, they'll remember what happens when you mess with a rancher's land and the bull who guards it. And if you've ever dealt with an HOA nightmare like this or had your own battle over land and boundaries, I want to hear about it. Drop your story in the comments. Hit like if you've ever rooted for the underdog, and don't forget to subscribe if you want more tales of real folks standing their ground. Because sometimes, all it takes to defend your peace is one very determined bull named Buckshot.